All right, it is, what is today? Sunday the 20th. Finally gonna get started on this dang wagon. I hauled it over here Wednesday. And planned on starting to work on it. And little did I know that the news about losing that 40 acres over my uncle's place was only going to be the runner-up to the bad news of the week. I'm sitting at work on Thursday, about 10:45. I get a text from Shelly's mom. Lily, come here. Says, I don't know if you talked to Shelly or not, but she's in the ER. Well, no, because, you know, she never tells me nothing because women are stubborn. And, so, needless to say, just spent the last... I got there Thursday at 11, so the rest of Thursday afternoon, all of Friday, and we finally got her out. When did we walk out of there? About sometime between 3 and 3:30 yesterday. So basically I spent 3 days in the hospital with Shelly. She's fine now, but I'm not gonna go through the whole story of exactly what happened, but basically it can all be summed up in women like to complain about how stubborn men are and how bad we are at communication, but they're kind of bad at it themselves. So, but everything's fine now. She's back home. She's up and about, and she came home. First thing, she was taking a nap, and then she got done taking her nap. The first thing she did was went to her chickens in her garden, so she's fine. But that kind of put a damper on projects for a hot minute. So anyhow, anyway, we're gonna finally start on this wagon today. So I walked up here because I needed to see what I needed to get this chain off so that I can get the rack off the gear. Looks like a 1/2-inch wrench. And the front one's already broke. So let's go get a wrench and the forklift, and we'll get this thing undone. Alright, I got the chain loose, so I'll see how it picks. I picked the whole thing, I forked the whole thing and picked the whole damn thing up, gear and all, off the trailer like this, so, or like what I'm about to do, so it should work just fine. Come on, there we go. Thing's a heck of a lot easier to move without the rack on it. Hopefully these kingpins don't put up too much of a fight. You coming? You gotta get up. Come on. Lily, come on. Come on. Come on. Lily, up. We going for a ride? You gotta get up here. I know you can. No, you gotta work. You gotta work for it. Come on, Lily, up. Come on, get up. Really? You're gonna make me pick you up? Okay, off we go. Okay, step one. Get the wheels and tires off. And then step two is get the tie rod off. And then step three is try to get the steering freed up. This is kind of a cool how they built this wagon though. It's got an extended tongue on it, but it's an extendable tongue on it, but it's got or a telescoping tongue, whatever you want to call it, but it's got different holes in it so that if you need the tongue to be longer or shorter when it's locked in the work position, you can put the tongue in different positions. They got it I think they got it way too freaking long for, well, I guess if they were pulling this thing behind a kicker baler, you'd want it back a little ways, but I'm probably gonna end up having to shorten it up some. But anyway, that's kind of a neat little feature they got. So what do we got? We got 1/2-inch lug bolts, it looks like. It's good and nice and muggy out. We got 1/4 inch of rain last night. We needed more, but I'll take what we can get. Initially they were talking chances of rain every single day this week, and now that just kind of petered out. Although it does sound like it's still supposed to be kind of nasty, overcast, humid the rest of the week, so still not good weather for doing much. Glad we got the weed off when we did. I hate how these Milwaukee tools do that ramp down crap. Yes, you. Okay, that center one took a little bit of heat, but it's apart. Just have to get the bolt the rest of the way out of that swivel. It's got a little like swivel ball joint welded in the center there. Well, it would appear that the whole schmear is all seized up. So, I guess throw a little heat on the kingpin real quick. See if I can get it knocked loose. Oh. Well, I guess it'll come loose without heat. But probably ought to try to get the bolt out, get it cleaned up, get it put back together. It's going to need a new grease zerk, get all the rust cleaned out so it'll take grease. I'm not sure that this running gear has seen a grease gun in its entire life, because it is bone dry. Like, there is just straight rust. There's no remnants of grease. There's no nothing. I don't think it has ever been greased. I think that's probably why it's all stuck. But some people shouldn't be allowed to own equipment. If you can't own a grease gun, you shouldn't be allowed to own equipment. There should be a test. It's a simple test. Do you know how to run a grease gun? Do you know the difference between a wrench and a hammer? Simple stuff. got it to turn. So I made a quarter turn so far, but it's turning. Everything's a little toasty. For not having any grease, surprisingly not really worn. I mean, obviously it's not that worn. If it had a bunch of slop in it, there would have been too much room for it to rust tight. Alright, while I was waiting for all this stuff to cool down so that I could handle it and work with it, pulled the keepers off of the spindles. Luckily, my second biggest fear was that these little bolts were going to snap off. Luckily, they spun right out. But, look at this. Look at that. There is not a single sign that this thing has ever seen grease. None. Zilch. Zero. So, this is going to be a little bit of a fight. But if you got to look at the bright side of things, because you always got to try to look at the bright side of things, if it was tight enough that it was able to rust to the point where the spindles can't move, that means the spindles aren't all wore out and the spindles should be nice and tight. So, there's that. Okay, so I got everything cleaned up, got a new grease zerk put in the center yoke. Still haven't touched the spindles yet, but while I was cleaning all this up, I noticed a problem. So, the way this works, or the way this was assembled, this bolt, so this lower plate is actually threaded, which, after I noticed this and then looked at how it was put together, it all made sense. But that bolt is actually, or this lower plate's actually threaded so that you can run that bolt in there and pinch this up to take any slack out of the center yoke, and then the nut on the bottom, this guy, is actually just a jam nut so that the bolt won't back out. The problem, and at first I thought, oh crap, I screwed up these threads. Well, after I got to looking at it, I didn't. They were already screwed up before I got to them. But it would appear that due to years of water infiltration and rust, the threads on the bolt, that plate sits right here on the bolt where these 8-up threads are, and that's rust. That's all rust damage right there. That's nothing I did. And then in the same respect, the threads in here are pretty much rusted away. I was able to clean them up some with a tap, but come on. But I don't necessarily trust them to do what they need to do. And in the same respect, I don't know. I guess before I get too carried away, I'm gonna have to see if I can get a new bolt to replace this one, because you're not going to get those threads back. Those are gone. There's too much material removed. If I can get a new bolt in there, because there is enough thread in there, or in this lower plate, to get a hold of the bolt where the threads are good here where they were in the nut. If I can get a new bolt, I think we'll be okay. If I can't get a new bolt, what we might end up having to do is take a nut, weld it to the bottom, and then where a problem would arise with that is you would need a bolt with an extra long thread, so that you could get the bolt through in a jam nut. Or the other option is you drill and tap a hole for a set screw in the nut before you weld it on, because literally all it's got to do is keep that bolt from working out while you're turning. It doesn't do a whole lot. That's where we're at on that particular area. So we're gonna kind of be at a standstill for a hot minute. So with that being said, next is gonna be trying to tackle these spindles, which I'm not looking forward to. I was hoping we'll do this without heat so we didn't burn the paint up, but I don't think it's gonna afford us much option. So here we go. I'm hoping I can just get some heat in here, draw some WD-40 into it, and start knocking on it and get it to spin and then drive it out is the hope here. Alright, well, we kind of came to an abrupt halt today. I ran out of oxygen for the torch, and B, we got a family reunion today, and I completely forgot. I thought it started a lot later in the day, but apparently it starts right now, so I gotta get cleaned up or get stuff cleaned up and get over there. I'm going just like I am. I ain't gonna bother taking a shower, but anyhow, so I did have that moving. It moves when there's heat, and then it stops moving once it loses the heat, so that's gonna be fun. We are gonna have to set this up in the mill and mill these pucks off and make new ones, because the holes are all slopped out on both sides, so those have to be fixed. Probably gonna have to do some stuff for the tongue, but that's probably gonna be for the hole in the tongue, but that's going to be a separate project. For now I just need to get it usable, but if that's apart, I'm going to fix it while it's apart. And then I got to get a new bolt for this. I've got to get a new tie rod end because this one, it was bent and it started to crack. It was cracked about about 1/8 inch in or so, and then it went the rest of the way when I tried spinning it out. So, but can't finish spinning the shank out until I got some heat, which I need a torch for. So that's basically where we sit for the day. I got to get this out of here. So I was hoping to get further along, but wasn't expecting to run out of gas for the torch. So hopefully that's just a standard automotive tie rod. It appears to be an 11/16 shank. It measures about 685, which would be about right. That's too big for 5/8. But I think it's just a regular automotive tie rod end. I don't think there's anything super special about it. So hopefully I can just get that in Napa. Bolts aren't going to be hard to come by. That one I got to get out so that I can clean it up, but ain't doing that without heat. So yeah, basically where we sit. So that's it for this one. We'll catch you guys on the next one.